Hi guys, so Nigel Farage uploaded this video recently where he talked about scrapping the EU Human Rights Act. Now I did a bit of research and I couldn't find any reference to any such EU Human Rights Act. Now perhaps he's talking about the European Convention on Human Rights, but that's not the EU, that's something different. And also you would imagine somebody who went to a very expensive private school and somebody who had spent almost 20 years, quote unquote, working in the European Parliament would understand the difference between something that doesn't exist and something that does exist. But let's get into the video and hear what he had to say.
So yesterday was the first day of us getting tough at the borders at Heathrow. People coming in from 33 countries on the red list were taken off to hotels, and they've got to stay there for 11 nights. Now, some of this was a bit of a farce because, of course, the passengers from all different flights were mixing, queuing up for passport and in the airport terminal. But you could say we're getting tough on our borders, and perhaps we should have done it a year ago. We might have stopped as much virus getting into the country.
Done it a year ago, but that was impossible, Nigel. You had said that the UK had to leave the EU. Brexit needed to happen before you be able to control your borders. Now you're suggesting it was possible. But of course, if you had actually pushed him on it, he would have to admit, yes, it was possible. And yes, even members of Schengen were allowed to suspend Schengen in order to protect the people within their country during the pandemic, even though Brexiteers said it was impossible. There's this running thread with Brexiteers. They say something is impossible and then it turns out to be possible. But let's get on.
But I tell you something, if you really think this government is getting tough on borders and getting tough on who can come into this country, just think about a few other little news stories this week that perhaps haven't caught your attention. Let's start with Yasser al-Siri. Now, this guy's absolutely charming. He is a convicted terrorist. He says that it's actually the duty of Muslims to pursue violent jihad. Now, the Home Office want to deport him, and yet he's fought court case after court case. It's cost the taxpayer £2 million. And this week, the appeal court have decided that this man, despite his views, despite the danger that he represents, this man will be allowed to stay in the United Kingdom as a refugee. We can't deport him because of, yes, you guessed it, it's the Human Rights Act, the European Convention on Human Rights.
So he said that you can't deport him, he can't be punished because of the European Convention on Human Rights. So he's not talking about the EU Human Rights Act here. Okay, so let's leave that aside. So let's have a look at the European Convention on Human Rights. So I had a look at Article 5, which talks about right to liberty and security. So it says here, Article 5, right to liberty and security. Everyone has the right to liberty and security of person. No one shall be deprived of his liberty save, so this is the key word here, save, let me just highlight it, in the following cases and in accordance with a procedure prescribed by law. The lawful detention of a person after conviction by a competent court. The lawful arrest or detention of a person for non-compliance with the lawful order of a court or in order to secure the fulfillment of an obligation prescribed by law. And it goes on to describe other particular situations. So your liberty is protected unless you've broken the law and you have been convicted or something. So when Nigel Farage talks about, this guy again, let me just go back to where he mentioned it. This guy here, well, this is not the European Convention on Human Rights. This is the law in the UK not being implemented correctly. Because if the law if it says here in Article 5 that your liberty can be suspended if you have been lawfully detained and convicted in a competent court. So maybe the problem here is not the European Convention on Human Rights, it's something within UK law. Or it could be something else. I'm not a legal expert, I'm just an observer. So when Nigel Farage says we can't deport these people because of the European Convention on Human Rights, then maybe it's not the European Convention on Human Rights that's the problem. It could be somewhere else. But it's easier to just blame anything with the name Europe in it because he's a Brexiteer, because he knows that this will trigger his supporters and members of the public, people who are concerned, and rightly so, concerned that there are unsavory individuals coming in. Now, there's another point to be made here. We don't make laws, we shouldn't make laws, or we shouldn't suspend laws on individual cases, in respect to individual cases or specific cases. That's not how the law works. The law has to encompass the entire society. We can't say, look, we don't like this one guy, so let's suspend the entire law. Or we don't like this one guy, so let's introduce a new law. Laws have to be applied to everyone. I understand that there are horrible people who are able to get around laws. Brexiteers should know something about that. But you can't say, let's suspend the law because of one particular individual. But once again, back to the Article 5, it says here, let's just read it again to be sure. Everyone has the right to liberty and security of person. No one shall be deprived of his liberty save in the following cases and in accordance with the procedure prescribed by law. So when Nigel Farage says that the European Convention on Human Rights is the problem, I'd have to disagree. I don't think it's the problem. I think the problem perhaps is how it's enforced. Maybe the Human Rights Act in the UK, maybe some other law, maybe the procedure of the law, maybe the lawyers themselves are not doing a very good job. There may be technicalities that allow these individuals to get off. I don't know, and I don't think Nigel Farage knows either. But as I said before, this is about creating tension in communities. This is about riling up people. Nigel Farage doesn't really care about the public. He cares about his own position. He cares about attention. He wants attention. And he knows that Brexit is off the table now. He can't really use Brexit anymore. He needs to move on to the next issue. And of course, the border has always been an issue that is able to invoke anger. It's able to motivate people to come out and vote. And once again, Nigel Farage is attempting to use this issue. But if I'm wrong, please do point it out in the comment section. As always, your comments are greatly appreciated. Thanks a lot. I want to say a big thank you to all of my patrons. You ensure that this channel continues to exist. I'm eternally grateful for all of your support. If you join Patreon, you will receive instant access to our Discord server, where we have both audio and video chats. You can chat with me and other patrons, where we discuss important and non-important issues. Becoming a patron per month costs about the same as a large coffee, so why not check it out?